Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for April 23rd, 2020. Fourth day of the open house here. Out of the way, just now closing. We got 2 minutes until the close. Qs and SPY looking to close just about flat. Qs down 0.25%, a little bit less, and SPY also flat here. We did get a pullback here, right? But the pullback was not able to get going, okay? We talked about after this sell-off here, after this hourly trend broke, that I thought it was going to get pretty choppy here, that we were going to be looking at kind of time frame conflict, and as a result, things could get kind of messy. And so far, that's kind of what we got. Now, we did have some news come out, I think, that affected the market here. About kind of vaccine potential. So that is part of what the drop here is. But I think running up into resistance, bouncing off support, what we're really doing is starting to establish more of this sideways range. Okay, and so we should get some more clarity next week because this hourly sell setup is getting closer and closer to getting going. Okay, so this hourly sell setup here, right? And so that has been setting up, that is looking bearish despite the bullish recovery in the market. But now we also have a more neutral hourly here as the uptrend broke but is now starting to go more sideways. Spent some time above 20 MA, below, above, right? So that uptrend has kind of run out of steam a little bit. So we're starting to get some mixed signals across different time frames. We could tell that was starting to happen already when the hourly was starting to give up the uptrend. Okay, so going into tomorrow, gonna be bullish, but underneath today's low, no longer bullish. That's gonna confirm that we're definitely stuck in this more sideways pattern. And this may end up being where we wait for a resolution. That once we get out of this range, that'll tell us what the next direction is going to be. Okay, so we're starting to establish resistance and support for a more sideways trend. All right, and so we could follow through on this buy setup. That could happen tomorrow, in which case we will still be bullish, but underneath today's low, neutral, and that will be looking more and more like we've got a sideways hourly here. Right, and so that'll put us more neutral. Okay, same goes for the Qs here. All right, underneath today's low, no longer bullish. Okay, so things definitely got a bit sloppier, went bearish bias, didn't really follow through all that much. Right, we were bullish coming into today, and so if this hourly holds, that will continue. But if it doesn't, then we will be neutral. We'll let this kind of back and forth play out. Okay. All right, let's go over the plays from today. This morning, I had the IVZ for you. Let me give you a clean chart first before we take a look at the entry and the exits here. Now, the IVZ was called twice. Initially, as it came up to the 2 minute, I called it to be played underneath 840. And it didn't trigger, so I waited and wanted to see it trigger off of the 5 minute instead. Okay, and so then that was called a second time. The first time didn't trigger, canceled the play, and then called it a second time, 840 by 851, just the top there, looking for new lows and beyond. Okay, so this is kind of how this play played out here. Okay, definitely didn't get out at the bottom, actually closing here at the lows. So didn't get out at the bottom, but we got more than 4 Rs on that last runner piece. So that is kind of my final target there. And it definitely went further and even much, much further as the market weakened as well. So a lot more to get out on this play actually. But it was a nice tight stop, all right, and got going pretty quick. All right, that was a 4 Rs, moved over 4 Rs in less than 30 minutes. So that was a nice play there. All right, and then the DCP, I know some people played here also in the afternoon. All right, just a 15-minute base breakout, late day breakout over $8 by 780. Okay, off the rising 15-minute 20 MA. Someone mentioned that it wasn't really moving, that it was kind of acting like molasses, and I said, yeah, that's why the entry is over the base. Because if it breaks above the base, then it's more likely to get going. Now, I understand you play a different entry or you get in at the bottom of the base and you feel like it's going to take a while. But notice the power of the entry. Once it gets going, look at all these higher lows and higher highs that come in right in a row. Same with the IVZ. As soon as it triggers, we start to go, right? And something that I've really stressed with people in the room, because I've seen a lot of symbols that are mentioned, and I'm not really sure why they would be a focus for today, right? And I've been kind of stressing this as well, that we're playing these plays, we're calling these calls to say, okay, short this at this price, and then we're watching these become wide range bars, big volume comes in. It's not luck, right? There's a methodology to it. There's a reason that AEO was a play yesterday, right? Actually, I mentioned this too. AEO, IVZ, very similar, very bearish on the larger time frames, and then gapping down and then setting up sell setups and breakdowns, right? So, and it's also not that I'm cherry picking here. So any of you that have spent time in the room this week, if you're new, then you've seen it as well, that this is the only thing I mentioned in the afternoon, gave you numbers on. This is the only thing I called this morning. It's not that there weren't other things that you could have done, but because there is a methodology, because there is a strategy that I'm looking for very specific things, that's why these are the things that I'm picking on, looking for the potential for nice big moves. I especially try to pick on things that I think will give me lots of room. Look how early we got out of this, right? Our last exit was like 789, right? And there's lots of room for error. Same thing with this EXEL. The EXEL that we played on Monday, I think it got out of it dollars ahead of the highs, right? And so by focusing on the gaps and looking for patterns makes us easier to catch big moves and at the right time, right? And so that's the advantage that we get. So hopefully, you've been in a room, you've been maybe taking some of the plays, but also learning how to find them and take advantage of them, right? Because it's not just random. It's not just some symbol that I kind of thought about or some analyst, mentioned it on TV. It is a very specific criteria that we're looking for that gives us a play, that gives us something that we think is worth risking money on. Okay, so hopefully, this week has been a learning experience for some of you, and if you already kind of have a good trading background or methodology, you've also been able to kind of take advantage of the plays or maybe even add some more tools to your toolbox. Okay, so tomorrow is the last day for the open house, so you're more than welcome to sign up for tomorrow. We have been pretty busy all week. I mean, the questions have just been nonstop, so that's been great. The participation's been really high, and so but ultimately, hopefully, you've been able to take the plays and make money, because that's really what it comes down to, why we're market participants. Okay, so hopefully you did well this week. We'll be back at it tomorrow for the final day of the open house. All right, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow after the close to wrap up the week and look forward to the week ahead. Okay, all right, hope you guys had a good day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.